The number one question I get asked all the time is, Daniel, what was the greatest pitch you heard today or last week or last month? And, well, in most cases, the answer is, I don't know. I've forgotten them. Because almost all of them I hear at events are forgettable. That's down to 3 reasons, and I want to share them. By the way, that's not just pitches, but that's founders, job interviews, budget meetings, wedding speeches. And I'll share one example where 2 words, just 2 words, killed a multi-million-dollar opportunity. Hi, I'm Daniel, also known as the Pitch Professor, and I've coached thousands of pitches. I'm the former host of the Austrian version of Shark Tank, and I help people all over the world speak clearly when it matters the most. Now, back to the opening. There is one pitch I still remember clearly. I'll come back to that later, however. That's how the algorithm works. Now, the first mistake I want to show you actually happens before you say your first sentence. So I'm Daniel, the CEO of the chocolate cake company, and the chocolate cake company makes the greatest chocolate cake in the world, and that's because we are. Can I start again? Let's dissect what we just saw. So the person just walked on, and while they walked on, they were already talking. While they are still walking, too fast, shallow breathing, and their head is 2 steps ahead of their body. And the audience feels that within a second. This person is running. So before we went live on Red Bull Basement in 2020, which I was co-hosting, the director, Tony, pulled me aside and said, Daniel, your fight or flight is about to tell you to breathe fast and speak even faster. And I want you to do the opposite. Breathe as slowly as you can and speak as slowly as you can. Under adrenaline, your sense of time lies to you. What feels painfully slow inside of your head looks like control to everyone else. So steal the protocol. Stop, plant yourself, breathe, look, speak, and watch. That was 4 seconds. Did that feel slow to you? Nobody thinks that was slow. In fact, most people have the feeling that that was someone being in control. What if you only have 3 minutes? Well, especially then you need to do that. Let's move on to mistake number 2. And this is one intelligent people like making the most. Fun fact, the smarter you are, the worse the mistake gets. Now, let me show you what I mean. Let's loosen up. So, hello, I'm Daniel from the Chocolate Cake Company. We make the world's greatest chocolate cake. For this, we need 4 eggs, which we open up. Then we add them in the bowl. Then we add flour, a bit of salt, and then we stir it. And we stir it. And we stir it a bit more. And then we stir it even a bit more until you know something happens. And then we add cocoa powder. And then we preheat the oven. And you're gone. You're like, oof, whatever, I'm out. What? That wasn't a pitch. That was a lecture with cake. That was death by detail. It feels intelligent to you, to your audience. Detail before relevance feels like homework. When chocolate cake is amazing, Do you ask for the recipe? No. You just want another bite. Let's do the same company, the same cake, but just 12 words. We make the cake people tell their friends about. Do you want to buy it? Now I know this is no cake, that's a remote, but you get the idea. People don't want to know why their product works. They want to know how your product works. They want to test it, experience it, eat it, click it, press it. They don't want to know what all the stuff in the background does. That's for later. Show your product, let them experience it. At the legendary Pioneers Festival in Vienna in 2013, which I co-hosted, there were 8 founders left in the finals, out of more than 1,000 applications. I'll never forget this. One of them delivered an absolute killer pitch, really strong. And then I was observing the audience. This one investor leaned in and asked, okay, that was great. So what do you guys need? And the founder paused. Good question. Money. And the investor goes like, okay, but how much? And the founder said, a lot. 2 words. And the investor, as reaction, just closed his notebook. And he said 1 word. Thanks. That was it. Opportunity gone. Let's take a look at it. The business wasn't bad, but the exact moment clarity mattered most, all the founder did was give fog. And you often, I bet, do the same thing. Let me show you what I mean with fog. I need a bit more time. We need a rough budget increase. We need 2 more weeks because the supplier delivers on the 14th of September. We need 1.2 million euros for the market entry in Germany. That's basically the same 2 requests. Only one version, however, can be answered. Nobody can say yes to fog, like, we need a lot of money. Yes. So know your ask the way you know your favorite animal. Some people answer instantly, dog. Others start a small wildlife documentary. My favorite animal, something fluffy, maybe like a dog. A cat's great as well. I once had a goldfish. Wake me at 3:30 in the morning. Daniel, what's your favorite animal? Dog. Same principle as the cake. Lead with what matters. What exactly? How much? Or by when? And why? So before your next meeting, write that one thing, that one sentence on a piece of paper and say, what exactly do I want from this conversation? Fold it, put it in your pocket, go out on stage and do what you do, and afterwards look at that when you're in your hotel room or when you're back in your office and say, did I get what I wanted or not? By the way, if you couldn't read that, it said subscribe, or even better, comment. No pressure. But that's exactly how it works. Now, the one pitch I still remember so clearly was actually in 2011. And a guy called Frederick walked on stage and said, my name is Frederick, and I recently became a dad. Now, I have diabetes, and I'm incredibly scared that my child might have it as well. And then he said the one thing I will never forget. Therefore, my mission is to kick diabetes in the ass. Boom. There was just like that. And 10,000 pictures or whatever it is later, I still see it, I still hear it, and I still feel it the way he said it. Frederick actually went on to build an amazing company that was later acquired by Roche for a ton of money. And after the exit, I once asked him and said, dude, what are you going to do with all that money? And I'll also never forget, he said, well, I'm going to kick diabetes in the ass. If your body still betrays you, racing heart, dry mouth, shaky voice, forget that. Your audience sees far less of that than you think. But what they do see is if you speak from the heart and if you're honest. In that sense, thank you very much for turning in. It was a pleasure. Take care, stay safe, and see you next time.